Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss our chapter number 4, that would be project monitoring and evaluation. Monitoring and evaluation plays a very vital role in beat any developmental project. So we would be directly coming to the introductory part of monitoring and evaluation. As I mentioned in the slide, monitoring and evaluation is the essential follow-up leading to necessary improvements and modifications in the project, and hence forms the top priority for any financial aid agencies, as it is considered to be a measure of transparency in the project and also sets a parametric goal for deliverables. Like with monitoring and evaluation, we would be able to suggest for future modifications if any required in our future projects, and we with it we will be able to evaluate whether our present we can evaluate our present projects as well. So that would be our introductory part about monitoring and evaluation. Let us move to the objective. We would be covering 5 objectives in our discussion. First would be to develop an understanding of need of monitoring and evaluation. Then we would be able to to be able to appreciate the various models of monitoring and evaluation. We would be looking on various models of monitoring and evaluation. So as our third objective is to be able to develop monitoring and evaluation parameters. We would be looking deep into the what are the parameters and how these parameters would be helping us in monitoring and evaluating a project. And then our fourth objective would be to be able to independently assess any developmental project. And our last objective in our overall discussion would be to be able to set up a continuous feedback loop for a developmental project. So these 5 would be our objectives, and we would be covering in our overall discussion we will be covering the 5 concepts which I have mentioned in the form of structure of the chapter. So first we will be beginning with concept number 1, that is modes of project monitoring. Then we would be moving to parameters of project evaluation. Then third would be feedback mechanism of a project. Fourth would be parametric evaluation and feedback mechanism of SDG projects. And last concept or structure of the chapter would be design of project evaluation parameters, a case study. So we will be beginning with modes of project monitoring and we would be ending with a case study discussion. So without wasting any more time, we would be moving straight away to the first concept, that is modes of project monitoring. So let us now discuss about what is impact and impact assessment really mean. Let us begin now. Good planning, monitoring and evaluation methodology connects the project to its past baseline connects the project to its past baseline to present state of the project and will provide the path to the future. Many organizations earlier believed in getting a first hand to project development by setting up evaluation strategies right at the start of the planning phase and be rigid with it, allowing no phase of flexibility. Many of these strategies are to be discussed in this unit along with the new modes of project monitoring and evaluation. Before entering into the multitude of impact assessment, let us understand what impact and impact assessment really means. Now, impact is a host of sustained changes brought in people's life by a project-based intervention. Here, we need to keep in mind that any small or large abrupt change can be considered an impact. An impact has to be a long-term, steady and sustained change based on the viewpoint of various stakeholders and a set of expected outcomes by a project management agency and other players. The degree of change sustained over the time frame is compared to the level of baseline for set parameters, and this represents the level of impact created. As I have shown in the slide, few of the impact assessment of a project, beginning from environmental impact assessment, social impact assessment, cost benefit analysis, social cost benefit analysis, logical framework analysis and rapid or participatory rural appraisals, PRA or RRA. So we will take each form of impact assessment and the parameter set for each one of them at later part of this unit. Now let us focus on some of the tools for impact assessment. Moving on to a next slide, that would be methods undertaken for monitoring, evaluation and monitoring. We would be talking about all these methods, like beginning from process to screening, public participation, scoping, decision making, assessment, and a quality review. Let us talk about what is a process. It can be linear or iterative. Then moving on to screening. Here individual listing of project on the basis of analysis is done or required according to the project's needs. And if we talk about public participation, then it includes the general public, like the ones for whom the project need to be assigned. Then if we talk about for public participation only, it would include all the general public, which we need to focus by the representatives. Next, moving on to scoping, it would include local issues, technical checklist, then political agenda, then the discussion with stakeholders, and maybe expert judgment. So moving on to decision making. If we talk about decision making, then the benchmark across norms and standards that need to be set. Then benchmarking alternatives across alternatives leading to same policy objectives. Then if we talk about assessment, both qualitative and quantitative need to be considered. And if we talk about quality review, then focus on quality of outcomes and focus on stakeholders participation would be required. Then let us talk about these steps, like impact assessment steps in a nutshell, like how it is done. It begins with screening, then we move on to scoping, then survey and forecast is to be done, then the environmental impact is to be reported, then we consult it with the consulting team, then we go for monitoring and evaluation. If if the results are positive, then we go for enforcement. If the project is after monitoring and all, if it is negative, then we don't enforce it. So that would be the steps for impact assessment. Let us now discuss about the tools for impact assessment. So if we talk about structured survey, what does it really mean is well prepared layout and flow, then defined set of questions are included in structured survey. Actually these processes are known as tools, and the tools are starting from structured survey to cost economic benefits. So we are discussing each one of the tools. So what I was explaining was structured survey means like we conduct well prepared layout and flow, defined set of questions are present, we have a fixed duration of interviewing, pre-selected respondents are there in structured in case of structured survey. And in structured survey actually helps in creating recognizable patterns. So I hope all the points made are clear now. Let us move to semi-structured interview. How it is conducted? It is continued design during interviews, and identification and modification of the kind of questions during the process of interview. So like as we were talking in structured survey, the question in semi-structured interview, the questions would be there, would be pre-planned, but it can be modified during the interview. So that would be the basic difference between structured and semi-structured. Then no fixed duration for the process in case of semi-structured interview, and different stages or levels of inquiry is there, different sites of knowledge and story explored, patterns derived from qualitative analysis, and this is suitable for answering why and how kind of questions. So I hope this point is clear about structured and semi-structured. Let us move to individual interviews. Individual interview, this is a very sensitive tool. You need to be very careful while using it. It individual interview, like we are personally going and interacting with them, so it depends on respondents' mood, body language, time constraint, different cultural aspects. That these all things has to be taken into consideration while we are approaching them. Then it can take any directional flow and can be validated along the line in interview. Note can be taken, notes actually are taken in non-discrete and non-interruptive manner. So we simply sit down there and we keep on noting down without disturbing the respondents. The respondents are given the free will of answering to our questions. So I hope this is clear. Let us move to group discussions, workshops and interviews. In this matter, it is actually, this tool is used at all stages of impact assessment, and cost effective way of bringing out different stakeholders perspectives. It notably helps in generating new insights and cross checking individuals opinion of the stakeholders. Powerful group domination should be avoided, and in case of group discussion and workshops and interviews, we should be also be aware about snowballing effect, and that should be provided. Let us now move to stakeholder meeting and workshops, used as a process to build a basis for impact assessment parameters. It is to figure out growth on parameters and compare on the backdrop of social economic parameters. It provides feedback, information and explore impacts on communities. I hope I have made some sense here. Let us now move to key informants and gatekeepers. This means like providing basic introduction and entry point into the communities. So you need to identify the persons who are going to be more friendlier, like with the interaction of those, like they are the most influential persons, or by interacting to them you can be you would be able to interact with the overall whole community. So you need to identify those, and then you approach them, and then you go on with their interviews and all. Let us now talk about information on community history. This technique actually helps in building grounds for right approach to community intervention. Events and sensitivities of communities are taken into account for impact assessment of the project. And inclusion of minorities, this is very important actually. We should prevent snowballing, and we should prevent actually snowballing. So inclusion of minority would be able, actually helps us in avoiding the snowballing effect. So it also, if we are including minorities, then it also prevents group domination in the projects, and this can be used as a part of mid-project impact assessments. If we focus on group discussions, then we get in-depth analysis during our impact assessment, and group formed on similar identity and taste brings communities internal circulated perspectives. So it depends upon how you are forming the groups, and it actually also, if you are going for group discussions and all, it brings together a sum of knowledge greater than individual insights. So basically now we would, if we are focusing on group discussion, means we would be comparing it with individual interviews and group discussion. So which one is better? It depends upon the nature of the conditions, but there are comparatively more benefit for in case of group discussions, as we get a sum of knowledge rather than just individual perspective. So let's come to direct observation. Direct observation is based on trust between observer and stakeholders. You normally just put on your observations as narrated by the stakeholders. It observers actually detailing helps in covering shadow aspects. It depends upon observers interpersonal skill, how well you have your interpersonal skills, then this technique would be very effective for you. And it also notably helps us in figuring out community dynamics and any forced suppressions. This is limited to external behavior of the stakeholders only. We won't be able to know the real or internal feelings of the stakeholders. So that was our direct observation. Let us now come to RRA and PRA tools. RRA and PRA tools, they are profiling and creating impact assessment timelines. They are basically well-being and impact rankings. We go for like Venn diagrams, trend analysis. More participatory methods are also followed here. This helps us in performance marking and satisfaction matrices. So I think you are aware about RRA and PRA tools. It is a kind of survey tools, like we go for interacting with the community and we make them involve in. Actually, these techniques help us in involving the community as a whole. So it's really very good technique if you want to get involved in it. If you want to enter into a community and you want to build a good rapport, then you should always begin with PRA or RRA tools. Next, if we come to case study, then in case of case study, there are various kind of cases like extreme and deviant cases, average cases, homogeneous case studies, heterogeneous case studies, critical case studies, snowballing case studies, and convenience case studies. Let us give you a brief about few of the cases. Like if you talk about extreme and deviant cases, then we need to understand the extreme cases and how come they achieve extremely good and bad results. It is helpful in understanding reasons of the performances. If we talk about average, then it helps in understanding the scenario for a majority of the cases and can be replicated in normal scenarios as well. If we talk about homogeneous, it helps us in focusing on a particular group in depth, and this is useful in projects including multiple activities. And if we talk about convenience cases, then it built to fulfill required benchmark and show expected outcomes. It can't be used as a baseline study for taking up impact assessment findings though. I hope I have made some sense. I'll be beginning with the last tool, that is cost economic benefit. In case of cost economic benefit, the assumptions about future benefits and cost as a part of impact assessment is done, and it helps in prediction of inflammation and present value of economic costs. It also helps in finding out performance on specific financial parameters. So I think this concept is cleared about the tools and all. So we were discussing about modes of project monitoring. Now we would be beginning with the second concept.